Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan, and today we are going to look at Noah's Mill Bourbon. So, this whiskey has all kinds of stuff all over it. Um, some of the important things to note, it is 57.15% ABV or 114.3 proof. This is batch number 21-45, and this is produced by the, let's see here, where did I just put that? By the Kentucky Bourbon Distillers Ltd Group, which is also who makes Willet. So this is produced by the same distillery that produces Willet Bourbon, which everybody knows Willet. I got a bottle of it right here. Classic pot still shaped bottle. So this one's kicking at a fairly high proof here. It says aged to perfection. It does not have an age statement on it. But we'll get into this glass here in a second. I picked this up locally for $49.79, so $50 bottle for 114 plus proof. Not bad. Let's see what we get out of it for flavors and stuff. A $50 bottle is where you're going to start. You should start getting into a really mellow mouthfeel and oily, clingy mouthfeel. You should get into a fair bit of nuance. And let's hope that you're getting like 6 or 8 year old bourbon or more. But today, this is 2021. This is October 25th, 2021, as I review this. And, there's a bourbon shortage. We're still in the middle of the COVID pandemic crisis, whatever you want to call it, and all the political BS that goes with that. So there's shortages nationwide on all sorts of things. Supply chains broken down and pretty much destroyed. People aren't working, so liquor stores are having trouble finding people to staff them. I have no idea what's going on in the distilleries as far as people working or not working, but I do know getting grain shipped in, cooperages, the supply chain that fuels the distillery industry is having some issues. And on top of the fact that there was already a run on bourbon since probably 2015, there's been shortages nationwide, which is why a lot of whiskeys that used to have age statements, like Weller 12, for instance, has been pulled off. So things that used to have 10, 12-year age statements on there have been pulled off label, and they're putting in much younger whiskeys into those categories now. Or sorry, into those brands. So something to just be aware of, and it's not necessarily a shiesty thing. It's just rick houses were empty for at least a year or two, just because bourbon became such a hot commodity that, and mind you, it's not just the United States, this is worldwide, that bourbon's being shipped out. And so with rick houses being emptied, there was a hard and fast push to fill them back up and then some. And so if you think about it, say 2015, here we are 6 years later, 2021, you're only going to be getting 6-year-old bourbon out of that big push. So something to be mindful of. I have no idea how old this is. Kind of a tangent there, but just, some things to be aware of. 114 proof, that's kind of a nice sipping proof in my opinion, as long as it's been aged long enough. So when whiskey goes into a barrel, the higher the proof that it goes into, the entry proof, the more oak tannins you're going to pull out and the oakiness you're going to get. The lower the proof, the more sugars you're going to pull out, and that typical caramel, vanilla, brown sugar type flavors are going to come into that whiskey. And so most distilleries are putting in somewhere between 110 and like 117, maybe 120 proof. You get 120, 125, you get a bit more of that oak in there. And most people, the average palate out there, does not appreciate that oakiness. They want the sweeter side of any whiskey, whether it's bourbon, rye, or whatever. And most American categories, whether it be rye or bourbon or just American whiskey or whatever, has a entry proof limit of no more than 125 proof. So there's a little inside baseball as far as that stuff goes, if you're not already familiar with that. Okay, on the nose there, we got a huge waft of brown sugar, a tinge of oak, kind of a nice sweet caramel, just kind of a soft caramel is how I would describe it. It just smells soft. Um, a little bit of floralness in there. So like apple blossom mixed with caramel coming through. That ethanol's not hiding anything. It's there, but it's mostly nosy notes coming forward and not ethanol. Very, very sweet no matter where I'm smelling it from. It's a nice nosing profile. On the taste, here we go. Okay, on the taste, the ethanol comes through very quick. And part of that might be my fault because I drank and then I kind of chewed, went retro nasal on me. I almost had to cough there for a second. And that brought all that ethanol forward. So that kind of ruined a lot of that sip. I'm going to have to go back in and give you proper notes. However, some things that came through where the mouthfeel is a little bit dry. The nuance of the flavor was 5 or 6 notes. There were several sweet notes in there. So I got a vanilla, I got a caramel, and I got a fruit. I got some oak out of it. And the finish is still going. So this is one nice thing with a good high proof is you tend to get more flavors and it tends to last longer. The finish is oak and the oak is like the background and the forward part of it is a fruity floral sweetness. Going back into that glass, not a whole lot changed on the nose. Let's see if we can get a sip that doesn't destroy my ability to tell you what's going on here. Okay, so there we go. We had cherry up front, fruit cherry into a caramel, into a sweet brown sugar, like straight up brown sugar, into a barrel spice, an oak barrel spice with a little black pepper in there. Finishing out that barrel spiciness, the tannins kind of cross over, and then another sweet note picks up. I would go with like a sweet cherry picks up and covers over that oak, and those two flavors kind of sail off into the sunset. This does drink fairly hot, but by the second sip, that ethanol kind of tamps down. You can feel it in your chest for sure, but it's not over the top. It's pretty good juice, I have to say. Yeah. Okay, third sip. Ethanol's gone. Mouthfeel kind of dries out. You get a little bit of astringency in there that time on the finish. But it's all sweet notes up front. Sweet cherry, brown sugar, melding together. That time it was a little more nuanced, a little more balanced, and the flavors kind of melded together. So it went from one to the next kind of seamlessly without like a spiky bite and a spiky bite with one flavor and then the next. Yeah, kind of a fan of this one. At $50, I'd probably buy this again if you are a bourbon fan and like all those things, and if you like high proof bourbon. Let's see, one final thing we could try here, which I normally don't do, but it does drink a little hot. I got just a smidge in there, so we're just going to put a drop or two of water in there. See what that does. I'm guessing it's going to sweeten up here. In the nose, it woke up that brown sugar tamped down the cherry, the blossom, and went brown sugar on me. And the flavor here, flavor kind of flattened it out. Yeah, I don't think I'd be adding water to this one, actually. I made it very oak, astringent, tannin heavy, but not in a good way. I did not like that. So there you go. Noah's Mill. It's a pretty good bourbon. It's just a question as to whether or not you want to drop the $50 to get it. Like I said, $49.79 here in Wyoming. Drop in the comments down below what you can find a bottle of Noah's Mill for in your area. Also, if you've had an experience with it, whether you like it or dislike it or have anything to add to it, please drop that in the comments down below as well. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, maybe smash that like button. And also, if you haven't already, checked me out on all of the platforms as far as BitChute, Minds.com, and YouTube. As I've said 100 times, I'm hoping to add more content than just whiskey. Get into the life portion of this where we're going to discuss stuff. Right now, politics, policies, and failures kind of seem to be pretty high on my list of things I want to talk about. It's just a matter of finding the time to make those videos, as I have 15 whiskeys I need to go through right now. Then I need to edit those, upload those. Those are all the video. You're probably watching this right now in like June, July of 2022. But hopefully I can make some content before you see this video that revolves around things other than just the whiskey. But anyways, as always, thanks for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. Hopefully here, maybe in a video to come, I can have somebody else hanging out with me and we can kind of discuss some of that a little bit more. Hopefully we can get somebody else's views mixed in here and a little bit of banter about the whiskey. But for now, you are stuck with just my opinion on this. If you haven't already, please check out some of the other whiskey reviewers out there. I'm a big fan of Bourbon Junkies, Mash and Drum, and of course, as always, the guys that got me into this. Big fan of the Whiskey Vault, Daniel and Rex down in Texas. Yeah. Thank you very much. You guys have yourselves a great day. We'll catch you in the next video.